Apple Card is the credit card created by Apple. You earn 3% daily cash back up front when you use it to buy a new iPhone 15, AirPods, or any products at Apple. And you can automatically grow your daily cash at 4.15% annual percentage yield when you open a high-yield savings account. Apply for Apple Card in the Wallet app on iPhone. Apple Card subject to credit approval. Savings is available to Apple Card owners subject to eligibility. Savings accounts by Goldman Sachs Bank USA, member FDIC. Terms apply.
In sports, the scoreboard doesn't tell the full story, but Netflix does. Stories about dads who happen to be world-class quarterbacks and a battle for the heart, soul, and direction of the multi-billion-dollar business of F1. Whether you're a diehard fan or you're brand new, Netflix has the stories for every type of fan. You can watch these incredible sports stories like Quarterback, F1 Drive to Survive, Untold, and many more now on Netflix.
Hello and welcome to a new podcast, The Paddock and The Pavilion with Stephen Wallace. In each show, Stephen will interview someone connected to the world of horse racing or cricket.
Hello everyone. Crowds came back to English racecourses on the 17th of May, and in today's podcast I'm with David Hunter, the CEO and Clerk of the Course of Fakenham Racecourse, to talk about what it's like to have spectators back, along with a few words with National Hunt jockey Nick Scholfield about how it feels like for a jockey. How are you today, David? And welcome back to the Paddock and the Pavilion.
Well, Stephen, nice to see you, and thank you very much. Speaking to you on a beautiful, sunny, warm Norfolk day, but it was very good to have seen you a couple of weeks ago when you came racing at Fakenham, which is at our last meeting of the current season. And you came up as part of a Newmarkers owner group, which is great. So we were delighted to see you and all the other owners on that day of racing on the 23rd of May.
Yeah, that was with Ilka Gansera-Levesque. I'm part of a racing club group there, and I'm hoping to go to Yarmouth in a few days' time. So,
well, take your sun hat with you in this weather.
Yeah, I always need a sun hat. I was speaking to Josh.
This angle, I can certainly confirm that.
I was speaking to Josh Appy the other day, and like me, he needs a sun hat when he goes racing as well. To open up, how has the season gone for you at Fakenham Races before we entered step 3 of the roadmap, which at that time allowed us to have crowds? So what's it been like before crowds?
We've had the entire racing season that we have had, which started in mid-October last year through, we just finished, I say, in 23rd of May. Apart from a December race meeting and that meeting on the 23rd of May, we've had all of the fixtures have been behind closed doors. And that's been an interesting and challenging process. And that's been behind closed doors. And then there have been changes. We've had, we started off with a decent number of owners could come. That then legislation meant we had to reduce owners. Then we had to reduce what we could give to owners. Then we had no owners at all in January and February. Then we had some back in March. And the whole of racing has constantly been keeping abreast. We've been very well informed in racecourses by the racing authorities, the BHA, Racecourse Association, everybody else involved to help and advise us to adapt and change our protocols and our operating systems to ensure that we're up to speed and up to date with what we can do and what we can't do, depending on the latest, how COVID has evolved and what is and isn't allowed nationally. But actually, it's gone remarkably well. But not having anybody at race meetings makes a fairly soul-destroying occasion. But as a racing professional, you get involved and you get, as clerk of the course, you get completely involved in the processes of putting on the day's racing and helping ensure that racing goes correctly along with the stewards and officials and everybody else. And that concentrates one's mind anyway, irrespective of the crowds. But when you do have some people back, by goodness, it made such a difference.
It sounds like even though we haven't had crowds during that time, David, your day was still as busy as ever.
Yeah, it's been pretty busy. I mean, it hasn't had the, running the race course as everything. I'm used to dealing with the crowds, helping with that, visiting corporate clients, sponsors, making sure that as many people are enjoying their day and going around in between races, doing tours, fairly high speed walking and checking everything's okay. So one hasn't had that, but the duties, my race day clerk of the course duties haven't varied at all. in some respects, you could say they're a little bit easier because you haven't got people and things and other things sort of that might physically or mentally get in the way that can reduce one's ability to do something. But we're all in the business of putting on racing for as a public spectacle to be enjoyed on course as well as off course, and obviously for all of the racing professionals, everybody else. But I think racing has done an outstanding job of keeping the whole business going forward and the industry going forward since the 1st of June last year, and Fakenham was just one small part of that, doing its bit from October to May.
Well, I'd certainly agree there. There's an awful lot of people who've been watching horse racing at home, have had the pleasure of watching it. But how has it affected Fakenham Racecourse financially?
Well, we're in a reasonably strong position. We're a small course. We keep a tight control on the purse strings. Sadly, we had to make a couple of people redundant last year, but we don't run our own in-house catering team and things like that. We have a partnership with a local public house. They find it very difficult, not only from a racing perspective, but just in general. But we're in a good position. We will ride out. We have ridden out the current COVID storm. We'll ride out the rest of the COVID storm, and we've come through it, reasonably intact. We, apart from racing, which is the main part of what we do at the racecourse, we have a fairly busy touring caravan and camping site, which is now just beginning to sort of escalate and rev up. But that had a very good year last year when it started in early July. But then again, we normally have things going throughout the winter as well with caravan guests, and that hasn't happened for since November. And then we couldn't have any anyway for January, February, March, and April. We couldn't start our caravan site up until the 19th of April, so we missed the all-important Easter holidays. But we're playing catch up on that, and so we're in a good position. We've decided to put some things on hold, some capital expenditure and other things that we had hoped to do this summer, but that'll be done in due course once we know what the true, hopefully we'll be back to where we were before, but it's too early to say at the moment, and we don't want to be putting up new buildings if they're not fit for purpose for whatever that might be once we come out of the other side of COVID.
Well, you certainly kept the prize money up at Fakenham, and you've had top trainers and top jockeys at the racecourse during the last sort of national hunt season.
Yeah, we have. We've made a very conscious effort that we are aware that we're out on a bit of a limb here, but the prize money, contributing good prize money, providing we like to think first class ground conditions and looking after people when they get to us are really important things to attract declarations and runners to come to us. And we've been really looking as well at the race planning for this last winter. We've made some changes. I've had some help from really expert help from a colleague on that front, and it's made some difference. And I think that we've boldly said that we would add at least £22,000 of our own executive money throughout the period, and we'll continue to do so until the end of this year as a minimum, on top of whatever funding is coming from other sources. But I should think also, like many other small courses, race sponsorship has completely disappeared for this COVID period. There haven't been any race sponsors that we could really justify asking to continue to contribute financially. Their sponsorship has continued in name, with a view to them continuing with us when we get back to next season, hopefully.
And as you said earlier, you had a small amount of members who were allowed to come to the meeting on December the 20th. What have you been able to do for your quite large membership base during this COVID period?
Well, really just keeping them fully informed as to what is going on, making sure that they know that they haven't been forgotten about, communicating with them by email, by podcast or various other things, letting them know that, and they've had a pretty rough deal. They paid for their 2020 annual membership, and that was then curtailed in March last year. They were able to come to one December meeting last year. They've then been able to come to our meeting in May, but we've told them all along that their 2020 membership would run for the whole of 2021. So it does run through, and providing we have the 4 fixtures that we've got in October, November and December, continues to happen with members and members of the public coming. they'll have those 4 fixtures. So when you consider those 4 fixtures plus December, plus May, plus the January, February, March meetings that they had last year, I know it's an annual membership that's been spread over 2 years, but it has meant that we haven't forgotten about them. They have been able to come, but they've been incredibly loyal to us and supportive to us. But we do look forward to welcoming that properly. And, the meeting we just had on the 23rd of May, first and foremost, we welcomed back the annual members and made sure that they, along with the corporate guests, the small number of corporate guests that we were able to allow on site, had a very special day. And they certainly did. We've had the 23rd of May was a real plus point to finish a difficult season with great days racing. The weather was kind to us on that day, and the feedback we've had from everybody who came on course on that day and enjoyed their day's racing has been phenomenal. Just huge praise for my team and everybody involved, which is a massive bonus and very well received, and jolly nice to have those pleasant comments.
Well, that must have been a great way to end the National Hunt season. What extra things did May the 23 bring for you to organise? I know you've got these zones and areas and things like that.
Well, we had, the zones were things that we've had in place throughout the season, and some of those zones couldn't really change. It had been reduced to, instead of a large green zone for racing professionals, reduced to just various buildings. But things like our annual members, our owners and trainers bar, ever since October last year, continuing still at the moment, has been converted into an overflow jockeys changing area. So that still continues. The main public building, public bar, was not open to the public because we needed to have that for feeding in a safe environment, officials and everybody, the racing professionals. It was just making sure that we opened up things, were sensible. We didn't try to run before we could walk. We wanted to finish the season on a high, not try and be too clever and do too many complicated things, and also aware that our very loyal and supportive casual workforce who come and work on race days had, they got into the swing of how things were happening behind closed doors racing, although there were changes the whole time. We had one more fixture to go before quite a long break, and we didn't want to try and change things and confuse them and as to what was allowed, what wasn't allowed. So we kept it pretty simple, and unfortunately, it all came off very well.
And what were you pleased with the actual attendance?
Yeah, I was very pleased. We had over 600 annual members who came, and then we had about 150 people being corporately entertained in one way or other. And then we had all the racing professionals, everybody. So it was just about 900 people on site, and it certainly had a buzz and it had an atmosphere. And I had a trainer afterwards. He did have a winner on the day, and on his fairly long trip home, he rang me and he said, "It's been a great day, David." And he said, "Never ever will I complain of too many crowds being at a race meeting." He wasn't referring to us, but in general, saying, "I'm never going to complain about too many crowds." Having had no crowds at all and nobody around, he just realised, it makes such a difference for everybody when you've got the spectators there and the buzz and the atmosphere and the vocal cheering and supporting and everything else.
Well, I'm sure I can tell you as a spectator, it certainly makes a much more difference when there are people there and there's more of you there to get involved. And one jockey who rode a winner that day was Nick Scholfield on Joey Steele for Christian Williams. And this is what he had to say. What's it like to have crowds back at the races?
It's fantastic, and it's a big relief, and it's great for the race courses. It's great for the owners, the trainers, the horses. It creates an atmosphere that we'd gone a year without. So it probably just hit me at Fontwell actually last Sunday. There was a crowd of 2,000, and Fontwell's not the biggest, so 2,000 felt quite a lot. And the noise they were making when you're walking back in, and the well dones and the claps and that you've forgotten about, really, I suppose. And everyone was having a fantastic time, and I think everyone was pleased to be back at the races, and there was their support and their cheering was very much appreciated.
Yes, I was going to say, since we've had crowds back, Nick, you've ridden winners at Stratford, Fakenham, Bangor, and as you say, Fontwell. it must make a difference when you win a race.
Yeah, you get a round of applause, and you get lots more well done than you normally do. And but the racing's still the same. But there's a few things that can hype a horse up more so with the crowd, and you can get them all on the toes. So there's more things to think about. And if you're coming up the line and the crowds are quite close by, you've got to hit the front a bit later than you normally would, because you've got the noise coming from them, and some horses will have a look at it. But there's different, things, the positives and negatives. But no, I've really enjoyed the crowds being back, and I'm glad people are supporting it when they can.
I suppose some horses have got used to not having crowds then, haven't they?
Yeah, I suppose. And some horses like it, and some horses don't, and people probably don't take that into recognition. It can lighten an older horse up. They might like it, and a younger horse might not like it. They might get scared by it. So there's lots of pros and negatives, but all in all, it's great to see people supporting the races and coming back and having a great time and appreciating the racing at the racecourse and creating an atmosphere, and what makes racing, really.
I also got a quote from Sky Sports presenter Josh Apiafi, who was recently on the podcast, and he wanted to say that racing is an entertainment sport, and even though the channels have done a magnificent job of bringing the fans action in lockdown, there's nothing like seeing it in the flesh, which is a bit like what you've just said, that the racing has been broadcasting to people in their living rooms, but it's not quite the same as actually being there.
Completely. I think that, that people just appreciate, this whole business. As it meant, people appreciate people getting out, doing something, meeting up with some people, being able to do it in an outdoor environment. That racing predominantly, certainly in Fakenham, it's virtually all outdoor. And I think also, we possibly got a bit a bit soft beforehand about, with the great English weather. We just got to make sure that we're going to do things. You dress for all occasions. Yes, we had decent weather on the last day of racing here, and we had actually nice days, weather chilly, but nice day in December. But otherwise, people dress to be warm and comfortable and suitably dressed for the weather. Actually, you can still you can really enjoy whatever it is, because it's, even if it is fairly challenging weather, that brings with it other things of being able to get somewhere and warm up between races or whatever, or go home and say, actually, you really enjoyed that. So I think, people have got used to wrapping up a bit to be able to go and sit outside in a pub garden to have a pint of beer or whatever it might have been. So let's look at that as a nation as something positive.
Yeah, I mean, when you go national hunt racing, you expect it to be cold and wrapping up. That's part of going national hunt racing, isn't it?
It is a little bit, absolutely.
And also, you've on the day I just said, Nick Scholfield rode a winner. Another person that rode a winner, and she rode a winner on the December the 20th meeting, was Bryony Frost, who everyone loves to see ride a winner.
Yeah, absolutely, and she got cheered and clapped in on both occasions when she won on the 20th of December and again on the 23rd, and she's got a tremendous following amongst our members up here. They really respect the ability of jockeys, and they really have taken warmly to Bryony. And so often she can be riding a horse trained by Lucy Wadham, who's a great supporter of Fakenham and is a local trainer to you there in Newmarket. And so it was jolly nice. And actually, in between her 20th of December rides and her 23rd of May rides, I think it was the 4th of May, her father came up with two horses from Devon. And what a charming man Jimmy was, because he'd never been to Fakenham in any time ever. So he decided he was going to come up, and he bought two horses. He didn't get anywhere with them, but he's still determined to come and come up here at other times. So hopefully we'll be welcoming him back on his long drive from Devon to future race meetings.
Oh, so he'd never been there before. Bryony's a regular at Fakenham, isn't she?
Bryony's a regular, but Jimmy had never been there, never ridden at Fakenham, and never been here before.
And your next meeting now is on the 15th of October. I think you've got two meetings in October. Hopefully, we will have full crowds then.
Well, let's hope so. We're now in our closed season and doing everything that needs to be done. But following the progress of where sport and activities and racing in particular goes as we hopefully come out of lockdown. And we're all waiting with bated breath to hopefully to the announcements that are going to happen on or before, and let's hope they're positive, on the 21st of June, which then hopefully will lead to where we're going, and we'll be, let's hope that come October we're back to where we were beforehand. It'd be fantastic if we are.
Well, let's hope so. And what does a CEO and a clerk of the course do during the summer months?
Well, the whole business of racing doesn't just stop. There's continual plenty of stuff to be done, and correspondence and negotiations and things. So that whether it's now it's going to be fairly full on getting the fixture list for 2022 finalised through British Horse Racing Authority and racecourses. Alongside that, we have got our caravan site that is continuing to go. We've got to make sure we're keeping that to the forefront of what is happening. There's planning as far as the facilities for racing, repairs and ongoing repairs to infrastructure and buildings. There are just many, many things. There's a huge amount of correspondence. Just because we might not be racing doesn't mean to say the administration of racing stops, because obviously there are all the flat tracks plus many summer jump summer jump courses that are continuing, and so one has to keep abreast and keep involved in all of that's going on. But in amongst that as well, I will be finding some time to have a bit of quality time of time off, go to various places, probably in this country. We have nothing. My wife and I have nothing planned to be going abroad. We'd like to think we might do in September, but we'll have to see what happens there. I have a son getting married at the end of this month, so we're looking forward to don't get any delays, because he already had his wedding delayed once. So we're lots of fingers crossed that the 21st of June is successful and good progress for him as much as everything else.
Oh, here for that. Hopefully you can get a good attendance at the wedding.
Let's hope so.
And will you get to go flat racing at all during the summer yourself?
Yes, I probably will. I will see where. Not at the moment. We got some various friends coming to join us for one of the days of Royal Ascot at home, where we'll have our own Royal Ascot picnic party in the garden, and we're going to some other friends for something similar on the Tuesday of Royal Ascot. So that's quite a nice way of seeing local friends. We did it for the first time last year. But I expect I might go down to Newmarket or a couple other places. But, at the moment as well, until we get out, most race courses, they don't need, when crowds are limited, the last thing they need is somebody like myself coming to a race meeting, when they hopefully can they need to have all the maximum number of fee-paying people paying through the door and coming racing.
This Royal Ascot event sounds good. Do you dress up in the garden as well?
Yes, there is a bit of dressing up in the garden, and we were very lucky that last year Her Majesty was with us, and we hopefully she'll be with us this time. A beautiful life-size cutout of the Queen joined us as well, which was rather nice.
Oh, but it's not top hat and tails. It's not quite that much.
There are some people in top hat and tails, absolutely.
Oh, right. I must see some pictures. We need some of this beach racing. You see in Norfolk in the summertime, don't we?
Well, we do. That's all gone on hold for the time being, whilst we're getting through COVID and other bits and pieces. But I'd like to think I might, be able to pick up that and see whether there's anywhere that might be suitable. The difficulty is finding a suitable beach that's got that's safe and safe, first and foremost, safe for horses, and also is in the right right place, so that there's infrastructure close by to provide for racing integrity and other bits and pieces. So who knows? But it's something that's on my plan. I would love to think that I had this vision that Ireland has great days racing at Laytown. If nobody's been there, you really should book in, and hopefully we're going this year, my wife and a gang of us in Norfolk. But if you've got a day's racing on a beach in Ireland, we should have a day's racing on a beach in England, a day's racing on a beach in Wales, a day's racing on a beach in Scotland, and then we've got a Four Nations racing a bit like Six Nations, a four nations beach racing matrix or event that one can hang things on.
Yeah, sounds a good idea. I mean, Laytown's in September, isn't it?
It is, yes. Yes, it's early September.
Yeah, I actually did email someone from Laytown, and they said that we probably get someone from there on the podcast at some point. So I'm looking forward to going back to him.
Well worth doing it. And the other person you could think is Jamie Ilsborn, and he has a syndicate called the Melbourne 10. They support Laytown racing in a massive way. And Jamie is a great supporter of Laytown racing, so that might be quite a nice, when you get close to that time, see whether Jamie is sending over a box load of runners.
Oh, well, that'll be good, because everyone loves his videos on Twitter, which he puts to music.
Yeah. Oh, does he? I haven't seen those.
Oh, you ought to see them. They're fantastic. Well, thank you very much for coming back on the Paddock and the Pavilion. And thank you for keeping racing going at Fakenham during the COVID. People at home have enjoyed watching it on the television. And hopefully back in October, you'll have big crowds and you'll have these distractions that you've not been having as a chief executive or CEO and clerk of the course. So you'll be even busier on race days.
I expect so, but I've got broad shoulders. I've been doing it for 23 years, so I look forward to, bring it on. But, no 2 days racing are the same, and one learns something new on every occasion.
Well, enjoy the summer and enjoy your Royal Ascot party as well.
We will indeed. Bye, Stephen.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to the Paddock and the Pavilion. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and now on Instagram at the Pad and Pav. Don't forget, if you liked the show, please do leave us a rating and review.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
Whether a date night or family holiday outing, Meadowlark's Winter Walk of Lights is the perfect way to experience the magic of the holidays. The half-mile walk through Vienna's enchanting Meadowlark Botanical Gardens features lighted nature themes and sparkling displays. Get your tickets now at winterwalkoflights.com. Extend your holiday season and beat the rush with a weeknight visit in November or early December. Plan your visit and buy tickets at winterwalkoflights.com. That's winterwalkoflights.com.